Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to all participants. Welcome to the second pre-event of Perdami Visual Scientific Meeting 2021, and the first installment of YO Inspirational series, bring to you by YO Perdami Fellowship and Education Division. We have with us today Dr. Ike Ahmed. Hi, Dr. Ike, how are you?
Walaikum salam. Alhamdulillah, how are you doing?
It's great, it's great. Okay, Dr. Ike Ahmed is a world-renowned ophthalmologist in the field of glaucoma and complex anterior segment surgery. He's known among his peers as the rock star of ophthalmology, and for his skill in tackling some of the world's most complex eye surgery. He's also an inventor. He has developed numbers of microsurgical instrument, devices, and surgical techniques, and he's also known as the father of MIGS. Rightly so, as he's the one who first coined the term. He's currently assistant professor in the University of Toronto and fellowship director of the highly coveted GAS Fellowship. Dr. Ike has won 2014 Binkhorst Medal, 2014 Innovator Award, AO Senior Achievement Award, ACAS Visionary Award, and Canada's 40 Under 40 list. And he has published over 100 peer-reviewed papers as well as numerous books. His newest book, Illustrated Advanced Anterior Segment Surgery, a step-by-step guide for challenging cases, is released just a couple of weeks ago and currently #1 in new release in ophthalmology. Aside from his skill, Dr. Ahmed is also known for his eccentric style and his unique way of solving some of the biggest questions and problems in ophthalmology, like is it possible to cure glaucoma? He has stated before in numerous interviews that one of the keys of his accomplishment is because he looks at things differently and that is always challenging the status quo. And that is exactly why we invite him in today. Dr. Ike, I see that you're not in your usual setting. Where are you?
No, I'm actually, we have a little family trip. So I'm just with my family and some cousins. We're on the weekend in Niagara Falls.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for giving us your time during your family trip. It's an honor.
Of course. Alhamdulillah, I'm very pleased to be here. I mean, what a wonderful video introduction. That was amazing. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can hear you okay. So Dr. Ike, I see that you're about to give your presentation. Can you share your screen?
Sure, no problem. And again, congratulations, may Allah bless you for preparing this event. And I'm honored to be here. Really, I think there's so many talented people here, no doubt. And I'm a little bit humbled to speak about this topic, but I always share my thoughts. But I hope, Widya, I hope that we can get some interaction and some questions, right? That's always good to have interaction and to be able to talk and really kind of discuss. So I just thought I would start off a little bit just talking about some of the things that we're doing in creativity, innovation. I know that was a topic talking about disruptive thinking and things along those lines. So I'll just start with that, but I would really love to hear, questions from the audience, interaction, any criticism. I'm here to chat with you. I don't think I have anything special per se, because I think so many people have great talents in the room here, but I will share with you a little bit about my story a little bit, not that it's special or anything, but just to give you some insight. But hopefully I really hope that we'll get some good interaction. So sure. If we're okay to start, I will get started. If that's okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Is that
sure.
Okay?
We'll get to the discussion after your presentation. I bet a lot of the audience wants to have the question to you.
Yeah, please do, because I know this is a young group, right? Young ophthalmology group, is it?
Yes.
Fantastic. I always love to hang out with those that are a little bit younger than me. I mean, I don't know what to consider myself old or young yet. I'm not sure. I'm kind of like, I'm older than you guys, but I don't feel like I'm in the old crowd yet, but we'll see.
Young at heart.
Best. Best. These are my disclosures. I do work with many people in industry, and it's really helped me to innovate. And I don't think you have to work with industry to innovate. Of course not. But if you do good work, then people want to come to you to work. I grew up with no interest working with industry. I have zero business background, no financial background. But I started to do work. I really started to publish on the internet. I didn't publish in the journals. I published in the internet, my work. And not thinking anything would come out of it, but people saw what we're doing, and it was different and unique. And so people like to work with people who are thinking a bit differently, because we all like to just, be surrounded by people who think like us. But really, if we want to make a difference, we want to surround ourselves with people who think differently. And I do want to always give credit to the team that works with me. It's very easy for me to stand up here and say, "Oh, look what I've done," but really, it's more a credit to the team that I work with. And most of all, you all know this more than anything else. Any goodness that I have, any success I have, I truly believe is from God. I truly believe it's from Allah. Whatever goodness I have, whatever thing is success has come from me, I know I would not have it without God's guidance and His willingness to support. So that's really important for me to know that. It grounds us. I don't have to chase something, and if I don't get something, I don't achieve something, I understand it's not in my plan. This gives us and me a lot of peace. It allows us to do things and fail and understand there was a reason to fail. And that's probably the first thing I will say, is that don't be afraid to fail. Often we publish our successes, we show our successes, we show our best, technique or our best ideas, but we sometimes forget or don't have time to talk about all our failures. Maybe I should do a webinar on all my failures, because I have many failures, no doubt. But I look at those as a reason to continue to do work and learn from as well. I love this quote from Alan Kay, who's a very famous computer programmer in the United States. And it basically tells us about, we just don't want to be another Me Too, another, let's just, do something and follow someone else's path. The best way to predict the future, which is what we all want to do, we all want to know what's in the future, is to really invent it, to really find a way to say, we're going to invent the future. And that's what it is. That's what it's all about. Certainly with COVID, it's allowed us to really push things to the limit beyond what we can. And while everybody else in the other parts of business and politics and everything else were advancing, in healthcare, in many cases, at least locally here, we tended to avoid innovation in many ways. We have bureaucracy. We think we slow things down. We really have some challenges often. And I think COVID-19 allowed us to really break down those barriers. And I think that was really important. Listen, every day we have to find creative solutions. I'm with my family. I have cousins over in the hotel room. The hotel conference room is not working, is closed. The hotel internet is not working. So what did I do? I came outside. Look where I am. I'm outside. I'm in a visitor center, which is abandoned right now because COVID is here. And I'm basically right behind Niagara Falls, right? I mean, you could argue this is a little bit stressful, but you know what? Alhamdulillah, it's amazing. I mean, look, it's amazing. I'm alone here. I have beautiful views, and it's a bit raining. If I didn't know any better, I would think it'd almost be romantic, right? So you know what? You have to just put our mind to it. And there's always a solution. Remember, there's always a solution to your problem. Always is. We don't know it necessarily. Allah knows it, but we have to be inspired to do that. Now, what inspires us to innovate? I think we all want to have some inspiration. I love to be inspired. I mean, listen, seeing your video of you singing, I was inspired. I mean, I want to do a little dance or something, or play some music. Unfortunately, I don't dance. I don't sing. I can't play music, but I felt like I wanted to. It's inspiring. Alhamdulillah, it's really amazing. But I want to start just thinking about that, where we are. We are in a journey, right? And it's funny, I was talking to, family, talking to others about, what inspires us. And, we all have our own source of inspiration, but we all must remember we're on a journey to somewhere, right? We're on a journey somewhere to do something. And I don't know about you, but I always ask ourselves, why are we here? Like, what are we here for? Why are we here? Where do we want to go? And for some of us, like myself, the journey is about making a change for the better. It's about a paradigm shift. And as we say, it's not just about the journey. It's not just about, the destination. It's really about where we're going into the journey. And having a purpose. And I know some of these things I'm going to mention here are not like, a surgical technique or how to do something, but there are more philosophical ideas. And as you get older, you'll find you get philosophical a little bit. But, what's our purpose? What's our purpose in this life? COVID-19 has really perhaps asked us more, what is our purpose? I will say that, I think that one of the most important things about living is to feel alive, right? Feel alive, to make a difference, right? And how you complete your journey is up to you. How you perceive the world, how you interact with others, what you take from it, it's your choice. You have a choice. And that choice is open, to all of us, right? Each and every day, it's open for all of us to do. Now, we learn, of course, by scientific understanding, a base knowledge. This is valuable in innovation. We have to have base knowledge. Without this, how do we have the building blocks to move forward? So one of my big advices I give my young colleagues is know your language, know your expertise. We spend a lot of our time reading, arming ourselves with scientific knowledge, looking at, diagnostics, looking at surgery, clinical acumen, from undergraduate work, medical school residency to fellowship to clinical practice, right? The old see one, do one, teach one. I would say see one, do one, challenge one, and then teach one, right? And so I hope that I want to, first of all, start off with saying that your journey matters. You can make a difference. And in medicine, we have a special noble purpose because our difference we make is we have an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives, right? If you want to arm yourself with the tools to drive change, the most important thing you can do, honestly, today is to consider yourself where you are on your journey, right? How do you live your life? What do you learn from others, and what do you learn about yourself, most importantly? And that's why the journey really matters, right? It fuels our spirit of humanity, right? And it drives us forward and changes the world. That's what it's about. Make it count, right? Make it count. I mean, we can cruise through life, but really feeling alive is making that journey count, making that difference every day in your life, whatever it is, small or big. Don't reach for the stars, right? Make a difference on the ground, which I think is really such an important thing. And being disruptive and innovating, when you make a change, it seems great, but understand the purpose of why we do it. We don't just do it for the purpose of just saying we made a change. We do it because you're having an opportunity to sort of make a difference in that journey, right? Again, it's not about living on the edge. I talk about living on the edge a lot, right? It's about experiencing. It's not about traveling. It's about experiencing that world around you, right? Seeing other perspectives to question your own, right? It's about that mindfulness, finding peace, finding patterns in chaos, and most importantly, finding lessons in failing, as I mentioned earlier, right? Question things when no one else is questioning, right? Don't be afraid and don't be ashamed if you do that. And think simply when things are complicated. I often have the saying, complexity is simplicity multiplied. And these things build your character to guide your decision making, right? And if you do it the right way, you will make and write those decisions because your motivation is pure. And the purity of what we do things is so important, right? Scientific innovation, right, is driven by the human spirit. And that makes sense because innovation is what drives humanity forward. And so go forward, do things further. One of the most important things that we talk about, and I often bug our residents and fellows, is about finding a place that is beyond our comfort zone, right? That's where the magic happens. And it's so easy to get in our comfort zone, be comfortable, surviving the day, playing it safe, procrastinating. I always challenge our fellows and residents and our young colleagues about doing more. And it's obviously unnerving. It's obviously challenging. It's a bit scary, but put yourself into an uncomfortable situation. It's okay to be in the situation because you know what? It'll allow you to do things you normally maybe wouldn't do, even though it's uncomfortable, because that's where things really can make a difference. I mean, comfort zones are great, but things don't grow there. And I guarantee you, as you get older, you're going to get more comfortable in where you want to be. One of the things I talk about is conflict. It's interesting. Maybe conflict isn't always good, right? We don't like conflict. I certainly don't like conflict either. But sometimes, appropriately done conflict is okay to challenge, not for ego, not for a bad reason, but to really question, right? And if we listen, as I wrote in the editorial, if we listen as passionately as we speak, then our differences will give us the perspective we need to grow as caregivers and as a society. So it's okay to have differences of opinion. We appreciate differences of opinion. And I think this really makes us different and helps us to grow. To survive, we need to keep on moving. I always say this, we don't want to be status quo. I never am standing still. Always something is changing. And that's the idea around, how we innovate. I mean, it's interesting, many years ago, innovation was felt to be scientific, reasoning. But what I think, when you think about how science progresses, it's not just about the science, it's about the human spirit. And I hope that we can gather that. I think we move away from that. And people often will maybe argue and say, well, the human spirit, that's so irrational. Behavior is so irrational, right? And they're not wrong in saying that. But, you know, that human spirit is the fuel that really allows us to propel us to do great things. So tap into that. And I'm afraid most of us now don't do that. We, you know, follow protocol, we follow processes. We tend to, you know, follow a scientific reasoning process or deductive thinking. And I think that's all very important. Don't get me wrong. And I think analytical thinking is so critical, but we lose the human spirit in that. We lose the ability to really give us what what Allah has given us, what God has given us, which is that human brain. And I think that's most important. That's one of the things. I have a visitor here who's with me, helping clean up here today here. I'm just doing a little talk to my friends in Indonesia, using your place here, sharing space here. See, we're just doing whatever we can do here. I don't know if you're so happy with me being in this place. One of the most important things, of course, as well, is to leave your ego at the door, right? I mean, ego is just our enemy, right? It doesn't allow us to, you know, foster kindness and to grow together. So check your ego, and I guarantee you, if you don't think you have an ego, then you have an ego, right? I have an ego. We all want to, you know, satisfy that, but put it aside. One of the things I really like to really, you know, focus on to our fellows and residents is that curiosity, right? That thirst for knowledge, right? Question things, asking why, making no assumptions. That's how you can disrupt, is by asking the right questions and being curious. You know, curiosity can get you in trouble too. I'm very curious. I get in trouble because I'm kind of poking and prodding sometimes. But boy, when you uncover something, it's beautiful. And I encourage us to really do that. And know that innovation is not in a straight line. It's very much in a crooked manner in different ways. So keep in mind this. I love this paradigm of Johari window, right? This is about what we know, what we don't know, right? You know, the known, right, is basically the truth. That's what we know is true, and we know it. We always want to be there, right? We have the known unknown, the questions, the things that we know we don't know, and we have to ask those questions. There are also things that we don't know about, the unknown. We don't know what we don't know, right? Remember that. We don't know what we don't know. And so we always have to keep that in our mind. The most dangerous part to be is the unknown known. The things that we think we know that turns out that we didn't. And that's and that is what we call the unknown knowns, right? And that's something that we have to be very careful of, because that can lead us the wrong way. You know, I often tell our residents again that when we ask our colleagues and our preceptors why we do things, don't accept we've always done it that way. You know, that is unacceptable in my book, right? We question everything. I hope that's something that we should say. You know, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was saying that I always feel restless. I feel dissatisfied, not like unhappy in life, but I feel restless in my daily life. I don't feel I've solved things. I feel unsatisfied, not in a bad way, but in a way that I'm always looking for opportunities to change things. So much of this is the mindset, right? You know, and as I kind of take a take off on what I just said earlier in this editorial, that, you know, sometimes to know what you don't know, you just need to question what you do know. And that's important. You know, we all aspire to be excellent. We go from beginner to competent to excellence. And what takes us there, right? I would imagine many of you are in that competent stage. You're looking to achieve excellence in life and in profession. Well, I will first of all say that, you know, our guidance is clear to us, right? I will encourage all of you to learn the Quran and to read the Quran. There's so many secrets and guidance in there. I don't do this enough, I can tell you. I prayed my Fajr this morning for guidance. So hopefully I can give this talk, and hopefully it'll be a good talk. I asked Allah God to help me for this. But there's so much guidance from that. But what does it mean to be good? Well, again, it goes through a cycle, right? We start off being unconsciously incompetent. What that means is basically that we don't know how bad we are, and we're not that good. We get into the conscious incompetence, right? This is from Martin Broadwell, management trainer. We know that we're not so good, and we're working on ourselves to get better. We then get into conscious competence. We can do something. We have to tell ourselves what to do. Okay, Ike, put you do this, do this, do this. And then we get into the unconscious competence where we are subconsciously do things without even knowing it that we can do it. And those are the four levels of competence, right? Starts off with curiosity, asking the right questions, digging deeper, making no assumptions. And then it moves into understanding the basis of the skill, imagining and visualizing, and practicing and repeating, right? So much of it is that mindset. It's about the attitude that we can overcome our deficiencies. And we think about developing our skills, we can think about skills and will, right? How much we put the work ethic into it and how much training do we need. These are two different things, right? So much of what we do is really about the emotional intelligence, the coachability, motivation. It's not about technical competence. Some people say, oh, Ike, you have great hands or you do great surgery or whatever else. And I really think it's more about the motivation, about my, about my ability to learn, the mindset, the cognitive part. And this requires us either to train more or require more coaching to get to the high level of skill and will. That's what we need to get toward. And Jim Collins' book about how to be great, good to be great, I think is fantastic, right? Talks about the whole hedgehog concept. Find out what you're deeply passionate about, right? Get down to the inner core, what really drives you, right? And then do what you can, and be the best in what you're at. So just remember what that is. And we need to think about, again, every aspect of how we learn, from the mindset, the approach, the cognitive skills of problem solving and thinking through things, and the motor skills of using our hands and our technical abilities. I very much like to think about innovation from my view as the ground floor, right? And let's differentiate, from innovation versus research, right? Research is asking the right questions. Innovation is thinking differently, right? And that's the difference between the two concepts, which of course have an interplay. I like working in both spaces. Often it's about putting ourselves in the right place at the right time, working with the right people. Every great innovation starts with an idea, right? That's the basis of creation, is starting with an idea. It means dreaming. It means dreaming in the shower. It means dreaming when you go to bed. No ideas are dumb, but there are a lot of dumb ideas out there. And many times it means we just have to take that idea and just do it, right? It's the famous Nike commercial, just do it. It's very important as well to be open, right? Set your antenna to receive. This sounds like a simple concept, but so much of us are closed-minded. It means we have to doubt ourselves. It means we have to know we don't know everything, but to open our eyes, what's in front of us, right? The beauty and the answers are all around us. We just have to see it for ourselves. One thing that really is passionate about me is motivating, is wanting to be the first one to the peak, first one to do things and be unique. Let me talk about being different a little bit, because this is important to me. I grew up as a Muslim kid in a place where there were no Muslims in northern Canada. I was born and raised in the 70s. It was very hard. Many people had never met Muslims before. Many people had bad ideas about Muslims, and I was treated pretty poorly by a lot of people. I had to fight. I remember times when people that were older than me, children that were older than me, would corner me in a playground and tell me to say you're not Muslim, and make me say this. And I would say never, and I would get beaten up and punched in the face. And I never said that I was not a Muslim, because I was proud to be a Muslim. And you know what? I would take a beating for that. But you know what? It made me strong. It made me say I have to fight back. And I never told my parents, because I didn't want them to be ashamed either. I was ashamed. But I didn't want to be that person. So I fought myself being different, and knowing I didn't have any friends was okay, because I found a way to survive, to do well in school, to be the best I can be. And it's very painful to be different at times, but that blossomed over the years. I wanted to be like everybody else, no doubt. But over time, I realized that being different was a very powerful attribute, to look at things like other people don't think. When you're in the crowd, when you're cool, you're like everybody else. You have a difficult time thinking differently. So for those of you that are awkward, that think you're different, that look differently, that act differently, that feel differently, that's okay. It's not always feeling good, but know you have a special power that God has given you, and that power will allow you to see things that other people can't see. Use that powerful ability to make a change, and do it in the right way. Of course, I never would want anybody to be in any negative circumstance, but it's a very powerful skill. It took me many years to realize that. I still to this very day don't think of myself as being establishment. I'm not like the other people out there who are the professors and the big names in ophthalmology or in medicine. I am not like that. I don't fit along with that crowd. I am not in that group. I am very much anti-establishment. As much as I respect my colleagues and my elders, I am not in that group, and I never will be. I always would be different, and I always will feel different. I don't like to go to a gala dinners. I don't go to, I go and eat on the street when I am at meetings because I'm not in that crowd. And I feel that's where I belong. So, you don't have to belong with anybody else. Be comfortable with yourself and have that guidebook. You know, I think that one of the things that we have a real beauty of in this world is diversity of thinking. And I think we're getting more comfortable with it. But at the same time, as much as we're different, remember though, don't use that as a crutch. Don't use that as an excuse to not do something great or perhaps to cop out of something. In fact, make it want to do more. Break that rules when you have to. And I have to tell you that, yeah, maybe it's a little bit dangerous to admit that, but yeah, sometimes you have to break the rules. Maybe a lot of times you have to break the rules. Do it in the right manner with the right reason. And of course, that's again where your knowledge is most important. You got to be really good to do that. And you got to be a bit crazy. I'm sorry to tell you, you got to be a bit crazy. I'm a little crazy, right? I do crazy things, hopefully not too unsafe. But you know what? That's the rush that some of us have to feel. So much of it is basically finding the right place where you start, right? Having the right attitude, having the courage, and having that passion. I can guarantee you my life here is that I don't feel myself any more talented than anybody else, but I will work harder than you to get to where I need to be. And I need you to get hard. It's not glitz and glamour. It's just getting right down to the bottom and working hard. And finding collaborations and partnerships is so important to do things. Don't go alone on this. As much as you feel alone, find great people to work with and mentor. Mentorship is such an important part of what we do. It's very humbling to tell you my story. I think that the values that we have to think is what drives you is what's important. Thinking differently, being passionate, and most of all, having compassion, right? So important. It's about the journey, not about the destination. It's about the people you're with, not the outcome. Remember that. And most importantly, have empathy, right? For our fellow human beings, taking care of them, taking care of the needy and the vulnerable. We're much beyond just taking care of eyes here, right? We're taking care of people. Take care of people around you. Be kind. Kindness is such a wonderful way to, make a change. And I know that this talk was not very sexy or very technical, but I had to just share with you the way that we think and the way that I can share things. And I'm sure there are much better ways to share that. But those are some thoughts. And again, I love the comments many of you put out there on social media. I don't often have time to go through everything, but I do read everything what people write, and I encourage you to do that. And one day, inshallah, I'll visit your great country, which I pray, is overcoming the, situations with COVID. And I always grew up, thinking that, alhamdulillah, Indonesia, the biggest Muslim country in the world, I felt very proud of that, And I grew up in Canada, right? Like I said, there's wasn't a lot of Muslims out there. And I always used to think to myself and even tell people, what the biggest the biggest Muslim country in the world, you know what that country is? It's Indonesia. And I felt proud to say that. So it's great to be here. And alhamdulillah, thank you so much for listening to me. I'm sorry if I was talking too much, but always happy to take more questions. And I apologize about the noise in the background too.
Thank you, Dr. Ike, for your presentation. It was really great. I've heard you talk about those things a couple of times already, but it's always amazing to hear you talk about that again. We already have a couple of questions, but first I want to give you my own. So in one of your editorials in Glaucoma Today, you actually put it on the slide to the crazy ones, and I quote, "I think it's an ability to step back from our training and see things through fresh eyes that actually drives our craft forward." No, I want to know how you come to that conclusion, and I wonder if you still stand by it, and if you want your fellow to also stand by those and forget all what they learned from you.
100%, and that's one reason why I train my fellows and residents, because I get a chance to see things through their eyes, through their untainted eyes that have been, polluted by so much dogma and theory that sometimes you lose that freshness, right? So that's one reason why I love to be around young people. I love to be in training, because I want people to think differently. I want people to kind of, have a fresh set of views. Of course, you have to always have conviction, right? But I doubt myself every day, even in the OR, we're always doubting ourselves. So yeah, I really encourage that. Now, you have to, of course, have the evidence. You have to have the right theory. We can't just say, oh, I think the world is flat, so I'm going to basically believe that. That's not what we're saying here. You can question yourself, is the world flat? But then you got to go out and prove it, right? And that's the difference between just saying something, making assumptions. You see this every day in COVID, right? Should I wear a mask? Is COVID real? Should I get vaccinated? There's a lot of pseudoscience out there. So anybody can say anything, fake news everywhere, right? Easy to say that. But you know what? Our goal is to find the absolute truth, the ground truth. And so, as long as we do that process and thinking, absolutely. But otherwise, you are really crazy. And that's something we don't want to be.
Great. So it's a controlled crazy environment that we're
That's
looking
the
for.
way to put it. Yes. Yes.
Okay. We already have some questions. And the first one from Dr. Muhammad Bayu Sasongko. Dr. Ike, you look so relaxed yet has accomplished so much. In a scale of 0 to 10, how hard do you work? Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's a really good question. I'm pretty relaxed. Okay. But inside, I don't think I'm so relaxed. I mean, when I'm working, I am intense. If you're in the OR with me, I look at every single detail intently. But at the same time, I also know that, you have to have your mind in the right mindset. Often, for example, I will recite Surah Fatiha to relax me and just put myself in perspective, But yeah, I work very hard. When I'm working, when I work very hard. But when I'm relaxing, I'm very relaxed. So I have a different, like if you were with me yesterday, you would see I'm really relaxed, just walking around, strolling around. But when I'm working, I am like 120%, So yeah, I think it's like almost like a, not hypocrisy, but schizophrenia, right? Like one hand, I'm like this. On the other hand, I'm relaxed, but I always portray myself relaxed because I don't want people to get so anxious working with me, right? So I try to breathe, take the breathing down, relax, and just know that, things will work out. But I'm always worried. I'm always intense when I'm working. It is true.
Okay. The second question from Dr. Bayu is actually what probably all the world is questioning with your hashtag COVID hair. What makes you keep your hair long?
When I was a resident, I was told I have to cut my hair and shave, And I thought, why? I mean, I thought being a resident is being the best doctor. So I said, I'm going to be the best resident. I'm going to know everything. I'm going to be the best surgeon, but I'm going to look differently because I want to prove that you can look different. You can be brown, you can be different religion, different whatever, look differently and still be the best doctor. So, and I was a second-year resident. I didn't cut my hair for 1 year. I had very short hair. And then I didn't cut it, and my beard was very long. And so I basically just said I'm going to do it. And then from then on, it continued that way, And I didn't stop. And now it becomes something to look at. But I feel very, very good that if I can represent difference and still do a good work, then I'm always speaking for the person maybe who is different. I go to a meeting, someone jokes at me and they say, I go to the American Glaucoma Society meeting and I'm in the hallway and I look so different. And then, we see all these older men with gray hair short coming and asking me questions. And that picture looks very interesting because it wasn't always like that. And I'm not saying it for ego, but I'm saying that I want to encourage all of you, the women, for example, that are with us, who I think many years have been challenged. I don't think that we are fair with how women are in medicine and in life. I really want to push that we need to treat what women, I think the best ideas honestly are from women, honestly. So for example, women, minorities, people who look different, people who think differently, maybe people who have disabilities, right? I really want to support those people, right? So if I can look different a little bit, then maybe it's a good thing. And that's maybe why I grow my hair. And now I can have clips and and I can have scrunchies and share with my daughter. So alhamdulillah, it's all good.
Yeah, on that note, Dr. Ike, it's true that you have become, I think, the representation of Muslim community, and probably in ophthalmology field, and we're very thankful for that. Even though we're like majority here, but we're not in terms of the world, and that's actually really awesome to see. Thank you for that. We have next question from Dr. Trirejeki. You are very active in social media like Instagram. How do you see social media in terms of helping our patients and ophthalmology in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was not always active in social media, but I realized that this has become the medium of the world, and so we should try to embrace it to use it effectively. There's no question social media can go too far, and it can really take a toll on our personal lives. So we have to be very careful with this. At the same time, I think it can be very powerful to spread a good message. And so for our patients, certainly, we find more and more patients are reaching out and going to social media for knowledge. This can be bad as well, but we still have to put our word out there. So whether it's on the internet, on Google, YouTube, social media, Instagram, Facebook, I think that there is a positive role. But you know, we again, this is where we have to be careful, because we can foster ego, and we can show narcissistic behavior, right, to show off. And even probably myself, I push the limit a bit. I tend to kind of use shock value, right? I like to do things like, you know, to shock people, to say, oh my God, right? And it gets people's attention, but also it can be taken the wrong way. So I think that there's a proper way to use social media. I think we don't let it overcome our lives, but we find the right dose for it to do that. It can be very powerful to inspire people, but I'm still struggling with the right balance. And many of people have come to me and said, Ike, you know, I feel I have to, you know, stop because I'm getting too much wrapped up into this. So be careful, but at the same time, have a web presence. I mean, you know, you can still do great work by having a good website for patient knowledge. I mean, we use virtual education for patients all the time. Patients reach us through the internet. Patients, you know, can learn about their diagnosis, about their process through our website. So that all is very important.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a participant who's raising hand. Dr. Anissa Permadi, would you like to unmute and say your question directly to Dr. Ike?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Anindita, for the opportunity. I have two questions for Dr. Ike. Good morning, Dr. Ike. I'm Anissa. I'm the third-year resident from Universitas Indonesia. My first question is about finding motivations, because I think it's not somewhat that always come every day, and sometimes we're in the lowest point of ourselves, especially during residency. Maybe you have any suggestion how to stay motivated constantly. And my second question is about innovation, because I'm actually interested in technology in ophthalmology, and several options run through my mind, but I think the situation right now is somewhat not in our favor, especially for young doctors and residents like us. We don't get a chance to do networking in real conference this day and don't know where to start. Maybe you have any suggestion? Thank you very much.
No, thanks for that question. So let me first tell you that, I mean, it's very normal to feel a little bit down. It's normal to feel low. You know, we all feel this. I mean, I feel this, especially in the last couple of years. So it's normal, first of all. I mean, it's not abnormal to feel down. I think one thing that I think is also important when we have this is to have a mentor, have people around you. You know, I mean, like, we're human beings. I mean, you know, in our religion, being in Jamaat is important, right? There's a reason why we don't pray alone on Jummah, for example, right? I mean, there's a reason to be together. Now, of course, COVID has made it very difficult, but I really hope and pray that as a resident and fellows, even young ophthalmologists, that find mentors in your life. They can be professional, it can be personal, but a mentor can really be your coach to help you, to, you know, motivate you, find and help you ask the right questions and find the motivation for you. You know, again, it goes back to the purpose of why we live in this life, the journey we have. And remember the long game. It's not about the short term, it's about the long term. And, you know, put your work into it. Find the satisfaction from the work you do. And even if they're small things or big things, we have such an amazing, you know, privilege to take care of patients. So, you know, those are some of the things I would say to do. And most importantly, the motivation should be for yourself, not for somebody else. And that's hard to do because we're always trying to get positive reinforcement from other people around us. But satisfy yourself that you did something that you thought you couldn't do. You know what? Maybe it's going for a run, even a run. I don't know how many run. Maybe many of you think I cannot go for a run for 5 kilometers. You know what? Go out and do that. Go out and show yourself you can do that. Guess making an achievement where you thought you couldn't do shows you that you can really motivate yourself and be successful. So it doesn't have to be in medicine, but challenge yourself, something you can do in your control, and do that. As far as innovating, yeah, I mean, it is helpful, of course, again, to be around people who do innovation and meetings and things like that, but it doesn't have to be. Innovation doesn't have to be technological. Innovation can be because we have a better way to do things, a better process, a better way to handle systems, take care of patients, communicate with patients. Innovation can be many different ways. So, you know, it starts with small little things. I mean, for me, it was maybe like making a small instrument, or maybe it was using my hands to do a new surgical approach. Anybody here who has a video camera in their OR can show a technique that maybe how you learned how to do it, and even share how you learned how to do something. Even that is sharing. And once you start sharing, then that builds up, you know, motivation to continue doing it and hopefully to innovate. But yeah, it's a complex series of steps. It starts again, as I said earlier, with asking the right questions. But of course, you have to find the right people to work with, and technology does help us that way. And when you come to a meeting or when you go on the internet, if you have an idea, reach out. People reach out to me and they give me an idea. Maybe I can introduce you to somebody else sometime, right? And remember, for every 20 ideas you have, you're going to get closed doors. That's normal. That's normal. But the most difficult thing with innovation is not having the idea, but it's the resilience, is facing apathy, is facing that in the indifference, like, oh, who cares? That's the hard part of innovating. Hard part is not coming with ideas. And that means we have to be resilient in that in the face of indifference.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Ike, we have a question from Ezra and Dita Permatasari. What is your biggest fear or failure, and how do you manage it and grow from it?
Honestly, the biggest fear of failure is that people see you fail and they laugh at you, or they think, what a fool, right? We all have this weakness in us that we are looking for, you know, positive reinforcement from our fellow human beings. We want to be accepted. We want to be liked. Who doesn't want to be? So that's probably the biggest fear of failure. But then you realize, you know what, like, you know, who cares? I mean, you know what? I mean, people need to, you know, appreciate, you know, people for who they are. And that's, I think, we have to be willing to fall down. And once you fall down and get back up, it only takes you to do it once. You realize that, yeah, there's a whole other world out there by getting up again. And the fact you got up and you kept on going for yourself, that in of itself is such a huge motivation. So honestly, like it's nothing cliche. It's cliche for me to say this, but it's all in our head. Honestly, it's all in our head. It's all in how we look at things. So yeah, I mean, I have fear of failure every day. I fear like I'm gonna, you know, not achieve what I want to achieve, or I fall down, and I do fall down. And the first few times I fell down, I didn't like it at all. I mean, I wanted to stop and go hide. But then you realize, you know what if I can achieve something, and why do I want to achieve something? And when I think about those questions, it doesn't matter what people see me fall down. Go ahead, right? You know, we keep on running.
Okay, and to follow up to your answer, I have a question here from Novia Rahayu. When you feel like you keep hitting the same mistake over and over, and unable to achieve certain level of skill, how would you know whether you have to try harder, or to decide that maybe this is just not for you and you need to consider another option?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't know if I have any easy answer, but that's where, again, it really helps to have a good mentor and people around you, right? Because they can give you good advice and good solace in those thinkings, right? I think it requires us to really think deeply, right? And balance it out. Obviously, I certainly agree that there's certain things that we have to basically move on from. It's not in our lot, you know, we have to accept that. And that fine balance, I think, you know, I don't know if there's any easy answer on that one. I think that the best thing I can tell you is that for me, I was lucky enough to have people around me, my teachers, some of my teachers, not all of them, many of my teachers were kept on saying no, right? And they were actually making me stop. But I had some of my professors, luckily enough, my fellowship mentor, Alan Crandall, for example, who's passed away now, but who really allowed me to spread my wings and do those things. So the only thing I would say is that at least go for it. Go for it at least a couple of times. After 3 or 4 times and you're failing, you have to think about either I do something very different or I have to stop, right? But don't do the same thing again. You have to look at it differently, right? Look at it differently. And then you have to move forward. I agree. You have to move forward. You can't keep on spinning your wheels and get stuck in the mud. And having the insight, sometimes you won't know that. And that's why you need someone around you who you trust, who can tell you that.
Okay, great. Okay, now I would like to invite Dr. Talita Isma. If you want to ask your question live to Dr. Ike, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good morning, Dr. Ike. I'm Talita and from Diponegoro University. It's very pleased to hear your presentation. I have one question. How do you actually cope with trust issues with your teammate? Because, we urge to work in a team and in a companion, but we have sometimes cannot trust some of our teammates, and how do you cope with that? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good question. I will admit, and I'll be honest with you, I'm very trusting. I'm very trusting. That's my weakness. I trust people. I always think of the goodness in people. I have gotten burned before by people who have been disloyal or who I haven't been able to trust. But my first inclination is always to trust people. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just me. I refuse to think of evil and bad intentions. But of course, once somebody shows that they have bad intentions, then I will turn around and I will always be away from them. I never trust them. So, but I always start with the trust, because I feel that, you have to work with people, and we want to work with a team. And I encourage that. We have to be a leader in our team as well, to have people trust us as well. So my first inclination is, yes, protect your interests, yes. And I'm wrong on this. My colleagues will differ. My colleagues will go and do things secretly or work in a small group. But I tend to really open things up. There are many people, for example, many ideas I have, for example, where I have not put patents on them. You know what I mean by a patent on ideas. My friends will go and put a patent, and they will protect their intellectual ideas legally. I don't do that, right? I share things. That's my weakness, but I don't care. I don't do it for the money, right? I do it because I want to make a difference. And even if my idea goes by somebody else and someone else has the idea and takes it, yeah, I feel a little bit bad. But if that idea goes somewhere, that's great. There's so many ideas I've had, honestly, where someone took the idea and did it, whether it's part of a meeting or a technological idea or surgical technique. Mm-hmm. And I just think, you know what, so what? I mean, if my goal is to share with humanity, that if someone takes the idea and does it, then you know what, that's God's will, and it was a good thing. And my most important thing is I don't need to get gratification from you or from someone else. If Allah sees the good work that I do, if I do it with the right intention, open heart, then that's all I need, because we're here and on this earth for a short time, right? We have to go for the life after death, to Jannah, and that's what the most important thing is. So maybe it's very simple for me to say this, but that's my simplest way to think of it. So trust people, right? Trust people. I mean, until they lose your trust, you have to do what you do. And I would give you the example of the Prophet, right? How many examples there are people around the Prophet who lost trust, but Allah protected the Prophet, right? And Allah will protect you if you have the right reason. That's what I will say. And that's maybe a reason that is not scientific, but that's my reason.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ike. And now I have a really interesting question here from Isna Suninto. The question was creativity of innovation built or gifted? Because if I heard it from you, it feels like I'm seeing you, and I feel like it is all about being creative and think different. It looks like it's very natural to you. Can you actually train people, like your fellows or your residents to be creative?
Yeah. So what I would say was that it's probably a bit of both, right? It's probably a bit of nature and probably a bit of nurture, I think. And I think you know, all of us have it within us, but some of us have no choice but to do it. Like I said in my story, I think that you know, it does take, it is a challenge. I take residents and fellows who go through public school, elementary school, high school, undergraduate, you know, medical school, residency, and we're taught the same way. We're taught about A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, right? Following the books and writing exams, right? That is not the best way to learn. We know that, right? I mean, that doesn't allow us to be creative and to think, you know, beyond the textbook. And so I have to unwind that, you know, when people work with me, I have to kind of undo some of that learning. And for some people, it's just beyond what their ability is, and that's okay. I mean, not everybody is born to innovate. And if everybody was this way, probably the world would be very chaotic, right? It'd be very chaotic. So it's okay. If it's not in your blood to do it, that's no problem. You have another role to do, and that's totally fine. One thing I learned is don't try to be like somebody else. Don't try to be like someone who's creative. But I will say that all of us have the creativity within us to do that. If we have to just tap deep into that soul, right? It means getting into that soul. And in today's modern day learning, there's no question the way we teach our kids, we don't teach them that creativity. We teach them to be robotic thinking, to be linear thinkers, to follow a textbook, follow the professor. Don't go against the professor. Oh my God forbid, right? And if you do, it's very bad, you know. And so how are you supposed to be creative when you learn like that? So when you work with me, we actually are very loose in terms of how we do things. We always want to teach the basics, of course. We have to take care of patients, right? But we have to follow the evidence and follow the proof of why we do things. So I would just say that we have it within us, but it starts with you deciding whether you want to go down that path. And for some of you, it'll be very, very difficult path. Some of you will be very natural. For me, it's very natural because I just grew up that way, right? And maybe it's partly nature, partly nurture, but others, it'll be something you have to unwind. And others will never be able to overcome that. That's my belief, but we have the ability to do it. Hang out with the right people, right? Hang out with the right people. Maybe I can inspire one person today to say, I'm going to actually get my stuff out of the textbook and open my eyes and look at the sky, right? That's where the answer is, up there. It's not down here looking down, it's looking up.
Okay, great. So it's a bit of both, yeah, nature versus nurture. So we have Dr. Refrano Agustiawan here who's raising his hand. Would you like to ask your question directly to Dr. Ike, Dr. Ranano? Please unmute. Dr. Ranano, are you there with us? Okay, Dr. Ranano,
they went to go innovate already. They already went away and taking the next best idea, you know.
I think so.
You know, the one thing I will say, Lydia, is that innovation shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be forced. It should be natural, you know. And I look at you, for example, honestly, you know, you took initiative, you're taking initiative, you're, you know, putting yourself out there. I mean, I love that. I mean, just by doing this, just by doing something, you're going to find opportunity. And even if you have no idea, you can have 0 ideas, but if you just do something, just the act of doing it will give you ideas, right? Just me talking to you right now has given me some ideas already, right? But you have to do it. You have to go out and do it. You have to get off our butt and do something. And you're, for example, do something. I think that's great. I recommend.
That's awesome. Super awesome. This is already very, very inspirational. But we have a couple of questions again. A lot of our attendees asking the same question, which is, how do you find what you're passionate for in life? How do you find it? And how do you fight insecurities? Probably you're passionate in fields that are not really ideal where you are, and you know that it's going to be hard to chase it. How do you fight that insecurity in yourself?
Yeah. So first of all, I would say that insecurity is pretty normal, and I think insecurity drives us to you know, to find answers. So you know, although maybe I may look confident, you know, when I do something, I'm always insecure. Even coming out here and talking to you all, I was a bit insecure. Will I be able to do a good job? Will I people want to listen to me? So it's very natural to do that. The passion part, I think I feel bad when people aren't passionate about things, because to be passionate is amazing, right? And I think to be passionate, I think you have to see what you love, right? I mean, I think it comes from the heart, and you have to kind of tap into that. You can't just know something you don't like or you don't love. So you have to find out what really drives you, what you love to do. I hope for most of you, it's about seeing patients happy. I hope for most of you, it's about putting a smile on vision, right? And I hope that that passion drives us to kind of find those answers. But it goes even deeper than that. It's about, again, showing that you can achieve something. Right? I mean, we all know that when you have a tough battle you're fighting and you win, isn't that the best feeling, right? When things are so easy, it feels nice, but it really feels better when you're actually challenged and you're running up a hill and you're sweating and are you going to make it or not? You can't even breathe and you make it to the top of the hill. Wow, that's the best feeling as opposed to when you're just running on a downhill, right? So I think that, you know, be passionate for achieving success in the face of adversity. So put yourself in those situations and do that. But passion is one of those things that, you know, it's going to be very individualistic in terms of what really drives you. But I hope for the biggest thing is that's where passion was making a difference in the lives of others that we don't have any reason to other than that that's our job and it's a privilege. So that's I think where hopefully as physicians our passion, you know, comes from. So I will say that, as you can tell, my answers are not really that great. They're very simple answers, but that's the way I live my life. I'm a very simple thinker. There are people who are much smarter than me, I guarantee you. But for me, the difference has been, I think, simply, I just put my head down and work, and I'm passionate about it, and I have an energy. Let me talk about energy, okay? Hopefully you can tell I'm pretty animated. Man, energy is our fuel, right? I mean, tap into energy. If you're low energy, I don't know if you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. And sometimes maybe it's not proper to be energetic. Maybe people think you're crazy, you're too hyper, you have too much adrenaline. I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs. My energy is from my natural adrenaline, right? But it's because we're so interested. But if you don't have energy, then I think it'll be difficult to, you know, to make the effort to drive your passion. So find the energy is what I would say.
Okay, Dr. I have another question from you. This is from Hisar Daniel. Sometimes our innovation clash with the current system or bureaucracy. How do you overcome them? And I think it happens to a lot of us. A lot of us probably want to like learn something or make something, and then we have, just like you say in the presentation, people that are above us in the hierarchical system says no to that. So and what will you do when you are in that position?
Yeah, I respect that. And I can tell you that I have faced that through my whole life, you know. And I mean, look at glaucoma, for example. I mean, and with glaucoma, I mean, you know, I was, you know, literally people were throwing insults my way all the time. And I have to remember that it's about the long game, as we say, right? Short term, we're gonna find people who are gonna put us down and say no. And as a resident, I can tell you, I saw this a lot, you know. But number one, you know, think about the future. We have to be respectful. I'm also not someone to be disrespectful to say to my professor, screw you, whatever. No, I respect what their position is. And it can be very frustrating, very unmotivating. I hope we can find somebody in your life, though, to find that way to channel that idea. Maybe it's someone that's outside your program. Maybe it's somebody who is not even in your residency program at another university or outside the place to do it. But first of all, again, to do something alone is very difficult. For many years, I did things alone, but it's so much harder that way. And we all need to have that person who can help pull us up. Number one. Number two, you know, work outside the system, right? You can work in the system, but nowadays you have access to everything online, for example, right? So you can do your own thing outside of where you're at and still make a difference and learn. Many of you don't have the right learning environment. Well, you can learn things outside. You can learn things online. Find ways to do it. There will be a way to do that. It may be hard, but there's a way to do that. And I'm sorry and I apologize for that because I think it's so sad when our teachers, and I would say the majority of teachers, are very dogmatic in their thinking. Many teachers are insecure themselves. They are insecure, not confident themselves. So of course they don't want you to be asking questions and challenging them because they don't have the answers. I always tell people I don't have the answers and I don't mind the challenge that way, but unfortunately many teachers are not like that. And I feel very sad because to be a teacher, I mean, it's such a noble position to be in. And we should never make a student or resident feel like they cannot pursue what their interest is. So, but there's always life after residency. After residency, you'll find hopefully ways to do that. And it may take many years to do that. And you have to, be patient in that way.
Okay. That one really hits home for me, because I think at some point all of us have had that time in our life, when we want to learn something or do something, and then we can't because people told us not to. And I hope after this session, then a lot of our YOs here are inspired to do more, to make.
There are, I can tell you, I mean, again, people look at me and they go, oh, look at my success. But many years I spent alone, upset, very unhappy, very, restless. And then there's jealousy too. People are jealous too. People are, there are unfortunately people who can feel the only way they can get success is at the expense of others, which I think is very sad. I mean, I love the joy of seeing you succeed. I would rather see you succeed than me succeed. I get more joy from that. I think it's unfortunate when people are insecure and they feel that way, but there's many people in this world who are like that. I just pray for them that they find the goodness in their hearts. And remember, in the end of the day, remember though, right? I will tell you, work on your iman, right? Work on your iman, because, and I cannot tell everyone this, but I can tell you this because I think you all appreciate this. Some of you are maybe not religious. Some of you don't pray 5 times a day. Some of you don't observe fasting in Ramadan. Some of you don't go to Hajj. Some of you, maybe don't even believe, right? But I can tell you that in many ways, having faith, having iman, it really makes things easier because at the end of the day what's important. And that's between you and Allah, that's between you and yourself. If you do like this, I can tell you, everybody, whatever it is that you face, you will have peace. You will have peace. You will know that you will be guided the right way, and you'll know that you will achieve that result eventually. I can tell you it's not a secret, but that's my reality. And I know it's not sexy. I know it's not like a book. If I had a book to write, I would have 1 page. It would say, see the Quran. That's it. Iqra, read the Quran. Honestly, I know it sounds so maybe funny to say this, but that's the truth. And even I tell myself that I need to do more. I need to read more. I need to be a better person, But whatever little I know in religion, whatever little I know, I can tell you it does help. Now, of course, we live in the dunya. We live in the dunya, not just the akhirah, of course. So we have to do those things. But, I would just say this. I mean, there are many opportunities out there that are now beyond the walls of your school or the walls of your classroom that you can learn and do things.
And with that, I have a question for you, and my question is the same as Dr. Valencia is. How is a day in the life of Dr. Ike actually? I mean, I think you show us in your Instagram that you have pretty good balance between work and personal life, and to read Quran. I mean, how did you do that?
I don't know if I have good balance, but my philosophy is that when I work hard, and when I play hard, right? So family is very important to me. I mean, I love my children so much. The most important thing in my life, and I'm always thinking about my children, and my family. I think that grounds us to remember what's important. When I can finish work in time, I'm so excited to get back home, spend time with my family. That is so important. Our family also looks to us as role model, and they look at our passion of what we do at work. I think my kids see how much passion I am, and I think hopefully that makes them motivated to do that. I like to make sure that I finish my work, my formal work, by about 3 or 4 o'clock. I don't like to work late. I hate to work late. So I wake up in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 a.m. I always make my fajr. I work out, I read, I do my work. That's the best time to do my work. I'm like 120, 50% of my work in the morning and 50% efficiency at night. So I do it in the morning, right? My kids are sleeping, I'm sleeping. I go to work, I work hard, and I want to get home by 3 or 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4:30 maybe. Then I have my time with my family to do things, and I love that. I don't do a lot of personal things. I don't go and hang out with my friends as much as I should. I don't have to go to the bar and drink. I don't have to go, party, right? So for me, I just spend my free time that way. And if anything I neglected, it's myself. Maybe I was not in the best shape. Maybe I don't eat well. That's where I have to work on better. But I think that perspective is important. I also make sure I take a day off a week at least to do my work, because I do lots of writing. I read a lot. I write a lot. I think a lot. And so I don't always am busy operating every day. I want to make sure I have time to do this so it doesn't take my time on the weekend and in the evening. And most of all, we have to learn to say no to certain things. I think initially maybe I said no to this invitation to you. Maybe I said, oh, I don't know if I don't know, maybe no, because you have to say no to certain things. So you can't do everything. And not doing something well is not a good thing. You rather not do it and do something best if you can. So I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know if I have good balance though. I do try to live every moment to the best of my ability, right? To love and enjoy every moment, every moment. And it's funny because nowadays we talk about mindfulness, meditation. Well, what are we prescribed to do every day? 5 times a day, we're prescribed to have the mindfulness moment, cleanse ourselves with wudu, and make salah, right? I mean, what better way is there to have mindfulness than doing this? So, I mean, the answers are all there already, to have the balance in our lives. But I want to mention something. I'm by no means perfect. I mean, absolutely. I make many mistakes. I'm not the best person. Maybe I am a bit sensitive of a person. I take things personally. Sometimes I'm a bit reserved and quiet when I'm unhappy. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm unhappy. I'm frustrated sometimes. No question. Those things are very true. That's human nature, right? Is there, but we have to find a way out of those situations.
Okay. Dr. Ike, it's already way past our given time. Do you still have time for one more question?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a privilege to be here. I can't tell you. And I one day, inshallah, look forward to seeing, many of you in person in your country. Really, I would love that.
Oh, we would love to. You were supposed to be here last October if it wasn't for the COVID pandemic, right? I was looking forward to that event. Okay.
I know. I don't know if it's still going to be on in the fall. I think it's still on my schedule to come in the fall, I think. So I'll have to find out.
Okay. So, Dr. Ike, this is the first question we got, and this is also my question to you. I hope someday that I can operate with you. This is from anonymous attendees. How to apply for fellowship or some course for glaucoma surgery to you? That's also my question to you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very open process. We take 3 fellows a year from all over the world. We've been blessed, alhamdulillah, to have fellows from many parts of the world, and we always encourage that. Everything's online on the University of Toronto website, University of Toronto Ophthalmology, and if you finish residency, you qualify to apply. In Canada, we have an open policy of doing that, and one day, inshallah, we have not had somebody from Indonesia yet. I know it's very competitive. We have like 150 applications every year. I know it's difficult. I always have lots of difficulty picking our fellows. There's, 5 preceptors, not just me. So everybody, evaluates and has a vote. But I always look at this very seriously, trying to pick the right people. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And I'm sure we don't make the best decisions always. It's there. But yeah, I mean, probably one of the proudest things professionally for me is our fellowship, and I'm very proud of that.
Okay, fingers crossed. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ike, for your time.
I'm going to show you I'm going to show you. Look.
Sure.
Look how much it's raining here.
Oh, it's awesome. And I can see that you were standing the whole session. I'm sorry to keep you standing.
I'm standing in this area. Look, it's basically like a welcome center that's closed. That's my hotel over there.
Oh my God.
But it was too noisy in my room because the kids were all running around, and the conference center was closed and the hotel was working. So I said, let's be creative, right? Let's be creative. And I went for a run. People are listening to me. I went for a run here. Over there is Niagara Falls. if you look at my Instagram, you'll see I went for a run. It's beautiful out here. So, but it's raining. It's very pretty. It's a very romantic place actually here in this space here. But this is like a welcome center. See, I was standing over here.
Oh God, I thought it was part of your hotel. Your hotel was actually down the street.
Yeah, it's down the street.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the time and effort to come talk to us. And I hope that one day we can meet you in person here in Indonesia, or probably there in Canada.
Inshallah, I hope so. I hope so.
And probably you have some closing remarks for us. You want to say?
Sure. I mean, listen. I can tell you what a privilege it is to be here. I give many talks. I'm sure you've heard me talk. I do many talks on different things, but these are always most difficult, but also I hope most rewarding. It's most rewarding for me actually, because I'm inspired by you all. I'm inspired by you, Widya, for having the courage and having the ideas and the leadership. I mean, may Allah bless you for this. I am really in awe of this. I don't mean to be dramatic, but I'm like super impressed by this, you know?
Thank you.
So, you know what we have within us. And I just thank you all for being so kind to listen to me. I mean, it's a privilege when someone wants to listen to you. I mean, I don't think I'm deserving of that. I can tell you one thing. Let me tell you one last story. I grew up, when I was a child, I couldn't speak. You know, I had stuttering problems. I was very scared of public speaking. I swear to Allah, I was so scared to speak publicly. I couldn't speak properly. I had stuttering problem. I had to go see a speech pathologist, right? And people say to me now, how in the world could you be like that? That's impossible, right? But really, believe me, when I was a teenager, I had such a fear of public speaking. I couldn't even say the words out of my mouth. So I want to tell all of you maybe who are having a challenge in your life that there are ways to overcome your challenge, and please do that. And you can make a big change and be a disruptor. I hope that, you know, I know many of you will make that difference. And even if you don't think you are, know you are, because every day in your lives you are. So thank you for the invitation. I apologize because it's loud over here and it's noisy. I think I probably cannot see everybody here, right? I think this is just a small group I can see here, but I would love to see people, you know, as well. And you know what? Send me some messages on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And keep in touch. If there's something I can do for you, let me know. And one day, inshallah, come and visit.
Sure. Would love to. Would very love to. Thank you, Dr. Ike, for your time. I hope we meet again sometimes. And thank you for all the inspiration that you've given us. I hope that this session will be the thing that will drive a lot of young ophthalmologists in Indonesia and probably in Asia Pacific, because we extend our invitation to our fellow YOs in Asia Pacific to break through the comfort zone and probably be the next Ike Ahmed. Okay, thank you so much.
Be much better than me. Be much better than me, inshallah, right? Please. May Allah bless everybody. Keep safe, keep well, keep on smiling, be happy. And we all be great. We all are grateful for what we have in our lives.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ike.
Keep in touch. I'll see you again, inshallah.
See you again, inshallah. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our webinar. And I hope that we can do this quarterly. Probably we're going to do this next in October. We already have Marcus Ang agreeing to do this to us next time. And we have a Google form in the chat box. Please do open it. So we have feedback for this event, and we'll see you again soon. Don't forget to register yourself to Perdami Visual Scientific Meeting. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Need foto.
Need pingsan ini.
Dr. Ike, is there ya?
Aduh, kok ditinggal?
Udah pergi ya?
Ya, masih
Ya
Dia udah jepret belum?
Ya, mari. Silahkan.
Tadi aku foto.
udah sempat masing-masing.
Panggil dit.
Udah pergi.
Wait a minute. Is there a party going on?
Dr. Ike, are you still here? Dr. Ike, would you mind taking pictures with us with the
Are
band?
you having a party without me?
We just want to have a
You
picture
were
with you.
gone for a second, and we were looking for you.
I can't believe it. I want to take a picture of this area. That's why.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get a picture of everybody.
let's get a picture of
Okay.
everybody. One. Can you remove the spotlight, please, Nadia, so we can take pictures with all the
Yeah,
panelists?
don't put me in the picture only. Everybody.
Okay, who's taking the picture? Nadia, can you please?
Okay, I will take the picture. And 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay. Dr. Ike, all the people in this panelists are the part of the YO Fellowship and Education Division who helped make this thing happen.
Awesome. I see all the beautiful faces. I'm glad I got to see everybody.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ike.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Ike.
Very inspiring.
Alhamdulillah. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah,
Looking
stay
good.
safe.
Yeah.
Well, take care and keep well. And remember, we are, this world is a big place, but we are actually very close, and particularly close because of we share so many common beliefs. So, alhamdulillah, I feel a closeness with everybody here.
Thank you so much for your
And I
time.
hope,
again,
I hope
Dr.
you realize how simple, how embarrassing simple I am. Very embarrassing, but it's simple. So
All the
take
best
care.
people always say that. All the best people
Oh,
always
it's
say
true.
that.
No, it really is true. If you live with me, you'll realize that. Really, believe me. So take care, inshallah, okay? Keep well. Have a
Okay.
good night, inshallah.
Yeah, good night.
Welcome.
Morning.
Good, Ike. Thank you so much for your time.
Pamit ya.
Ah, it's okay.